few years back, when Spider-Verse movie came out, people were making SpiderSonas, and I made one too. But I kind of took it too far, and I made an entire series and document that was probably about 200 pages long, documenting the story of this and the rest of her superhero friends. But unfortunately, I lost the entire document along with a few others when I accidentally deleted all of them. And this is completely my fault. But today I aim to redesign this horrific design and story that is just doesn't make any sense anymore. Luckily, I wrote down most of it, so I know what actually happened. And without that, so Kit's character was kind of weird. For one, she was initially a 16-year-old. I have now aged her up to being 18. She used to be in like a weird boarding school, and it was like her first year because her rich dad sent her there because he didn't want to deal with her. So instead, I made it to her. He sent her to a college to, I don't know, study like you do at college. And she's not exactly happy about the arrangement, especially since this college. Well, in the original story, the school had a dress code, a uniform, and she wore the boys' uniform the entire time. One thing that I will not change is that she is an artist. She is a graffiti artist as well. She's basically Miles Morales. I wasn't very original when coming up with these details for her because she's basically Miles Morales. She went into the sewers and the subway and painted on the walls of the subway and on alleyways and stuff so that she couldn't be found, so that no one could find it. And yeah, and most of her art pieces were about breaking gender norms, which I think was my projection onto this character. I did a lot of that back then, I guess. I didn't. I can't even say I guess. I did. I did. I don't know. This was during a time. So it was kind of a bit of a struggle to redesign her costume because there wasn't much that I hated about it, but it was just so basic. Like there were only a few separations and a few things that I thought that I should keep and a few things that made this design unique. But I did plan it out in my sketchbook so it wasn't too difficult. Let's discuss how she got her powers. Um so in the original story, she got her powers in the subway. She basically Miles Morales did in the Spider Verse movie, and she got bit by the spider. She broke through the wall, and then she saw big man scientist who's trying to find the spider, and then spider that he like looks at her, and she's like, "Oh my god, did the spider bite her? Get her! We need Venom." Yeah, and that's actually kind of the plot. Is the plot most of the plot is that this scientist keeps sending his experimented people after her to get the powers back. And the only way to get those powers back is to basically just take all of her blood out of her veins at this point because the venom is just in her bloodstream and in her, so they have to just take out everything to get it all. And I guess the spider died in the original, but I want to bring the spider into the design. I didn't actually do it here. I was supposed to, but I forgot. I'll put a little thing on the screen of what I think the spider will look like. But basically, this spider is going to be an important character. Basically, I have the idea that how many times can I say basically? This spider is the one that bit Kit, and he bit her for a reason. She bit her for a reason. Because she didn't want the scientist to have all the powers that she held because she thought it would be dangerous. Now, one thing that you'll notice in the design is that she has these weird spiky things on her belt, and those are Venom Spikes. And I came up with those during her writing the. Actually, I don't know when I came up with it or why I added it, and there was no explanation for anything or where it came from. She just kind of used them, and that's just what happened. So I guess that's that. But I don't want there to be an explanation for where they come from. I want you to just guess and not know. Basically, I have the idea that she just kind of wakes up in the morning one day and she just finds it in her bed. She's like, "What is this? What is this made of?" And then the spider is there helping her with, like, trying to explain what types of powers she might have, and basically her just trying to be her little guide. But originally, that guide was Nico, who is a cat-based superhero named Neko. The town calls him Neko because I'm not original. Obviously, Catboy called Neko. But he is actually one of the scientist's experiments. But he's not important right now. He used to be important because he used to his entire role in the story was helping Kit and training her. But now that is replaced by the spider. So now it's kind of that they kind of forced to work together in the future. But for now, he's not important. He's just kind of there in the background. But a character that is kind of important is another superhero that joined their superhero team when the superhero team happens, and that superhero was called Metal Man. Don't you love how original this story is? Anyway, his name is Jacob Hellshank, and he's basically the Iron Man of this story. He legit makes a mecha suit, and that's what he uses to fight crime. And he uses that, and it's really cool, but, like, it's just a knockoff. I'm not sure if I'm gonna change too much about it, though, because it is. I really like his character, and I really like the concept of having a mecha suit with him because he doesn't have any powers. He's kind of just, I'm gonna be cool and I'm gonna use my brain to do things. He's also gay. He was always gay. He gets a boyfriend, and Kit gets salty because said boyfriend tells Jacob not to see Kit ever again, which is an entire plot point that ends them two having a fight, and then Jacob has to hide his identity from her because he doesn't want her to fight with him during the fights that he goes to. And basically, I'm thinking that he is the first person that Kit tells about her powers. And she comes to him, and she accidentally tells him. Basically, she went into his room looking for a couple things, and she's in her suit, and he comes in the room and is like, "What the frick are you doing in my room? How'd you get here? And is that the suit that Widow wears?" Widow is her superhero name, by the way, and I didn't notice that. I didn't mention that. I think her original name was Black Widow, but, like, that's already a name, and everybody yelled at me for it, so I think it was that Blue Widow at one point, so it's just Widow. She's referred to as Widow in the second story, which was, actually, no, I think it was, like, I don't know, it's a story that I wrote that was, like, 10 years into the future with this other character named Saika, who was basically God and a 12-year-old for some reason, but that's not important. That you'll see that in a couple other videos, but that story is where I basically took a lot of the inspiration for this and, like, took little details in there because that's where all the details was in there. And since that was the only thing left from this whole Vindicators concept, and yes, I named them the Vindicators because I'm unoriginal. I don't know what else to name them. The Vindicators. It's got a good ring to it, kinda. I like it. It's not a bad name, but it's not original. It just sounds like the Avengers, because vindication is literally the same thing as avenging. Except, I guess Vindicators is more like protecting and, like, defending than, like, avenging, so it's not completely ripped off, but it is still ripped off. But still, I've been going very far off track. Detailing everything. So Jacob is her guy in the chair for most of the story. But then they get into the fight with his boyfriend because his boyfriend is like, I hate you. Don't. If you want to be with me, then you can't see that girl ever again because she's a loser and I hate her. Which causes some problems, especially since Kit kind of needs her guy in the chair, but she refuses to let him help afterwards. Even when he does come apologizing and even breaks up with his boyfriend, she's still pretty salty that he actually did what he told him to. So she's kind of like, well, I can do this on my own, but she kind of is having a lot of trouble. So this is when Jacob decides it's a good idea to build his cool mecha suit, which I think is a good idea. I really like the mecha suit idea. So he becomes Iron Man, Metal Man, some type of character name that I'm going to come up with in his video. Because I am going to make more of these. I'm going to make more of these. It's weird. There are going to be so many. There are going to be so many. I will touch on what the Vindicators are in the next video, but I'll just say that basically the Vindicators are basically a international organization that went and took together all of the superheroes and people with supernatural abilities together to defend the world, as basically like an alliance, like that kind of thing. And that's kind of what I think it is. That's what I'm kind of thinking it seems like, and that's kind of the concept that I'm gonna go with for it. I think that's what it was initially, but there were only 5 people. There was Jacob, obviously, Widow, Nico. There was 2 characters who two characters that weren't in it for very long. They're kind of off and on members. That ones are Janet and Kyle. Janet and Kyle. Janet can tell the future, and Kyle is Superman. Basically, he can fly things and things. Ice. Wait, what can he do? I don't remember. He can do a lot. I think he has plasma powers. I'll see that when I do his video, if I remember. And then there were a couple other characters, and I think actually, okay, there were 3 other characters. One of which is just a normal person, but she has a mecha arm. I think, I don't know, but it's interesting. That's kind of just the people that I kind of figured to do. But anyway, I think we're about done with Kit's design and everything that I had planned for this video. But actually, wait, I think I have a couple more things to talk about. Oh, her dad. Her dad is a rich asshole. Eat the rich. So Kit is kind of rich, but she kind of fuels everybody's habits. But she's also just she hates it. So she uses the money to spite her father. Because he's like, you shouldn't be spending this much money. And he's like, hey, excuse you, we have the money. I'm gonna spend it. I guess. I don't know. But a lot of the stuff that she actually uses is homemade. Her suit is homemade. It is made of various items sewn together and just put on. And actually, wait, no. I remember what her suit's made of. Her suit is made of her webbing. Her webbing silk comes out of her fingers. And, how, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man just has it coming out of him without, any web shooters. That's what she does. She has, but it's out of her fingers. And that's what I'm gonna say gives her the sticky fingers. And I don't know what gives her sticky feet. Don't question it, okay? But it comes out of there, and it goes whoosh. And that's how she swings. And that's where she gets all the silk to make her costume. And so she sewed it all from her own silk, which is a bit weird, but also she has these spikes that she doesn't know where they come from, and she uses them, and they make people pass out. because they're poison spikes. Did I mention that? I don't know if I did, but now I did. So, what's the issue? I don't know. But, is there anything that I didn't mention? Oh, I was playing around with an idea to give her ice powers. I don't know if I will. I might touch on that in the second video if I decided or not, but that was kind of one of my other ideas, especially since of all the blue in her design that I was bringing in. You'll see the little pads on her shoulder and on her arms, though, and her legs, I think, also. Those were where they were gonna come from. Basically, I was thinking that her sweat could have accumulated, and when impacted, exploded an ice bomb. Basically, like how Bakugo's sweat is like, he sweats like nitrogen, whatever, liquid nitrogen, and it explodes when he wants it to. But instead, she kind of uses it as like she hits people with it and it explodes and freezes them partially or entirely. And this would work as a way for her to get out of tight situations that she can't exactly web away or like throw in Venom Spike to get out of the way. So that would be one thing. And then of course she has like sticky hands. She can do that kind of stuff. And I think that's about it. Yeah. So I tried my best to accumulate everything that I talked about into the designs, and I really like how the design turned out. I love it. It's great. It's perfect, and I actually am really proud of it. And I cannot wait to do Nico's video. Nico. Oh, also I didn't mention that I did change the suit from what I had finished originally, and you will see that in a couple seconds, or maybe right now. Maybe it depends. So yeah, that's the end of the video. Bye bye. Since you're done here, why don't you go check out one of my other channels? I have a creative channel, a gaming channel, and a vlog channel. The links are all in the description.